Okay, I think we'll probably go ahead and get started, just out of respect for everyone's time. I'm going to talk for about 20 minutes or so, and then maybe a little longer, not a whole lot, and then we'll take questions if anybody has any. So, without further ado, here we go. Okay, so this is the first in a series of webinars that we want to do that we're calling Show Me How. We've designed these to be something that hopefully will be helpful to you, and we'll show you a few quick tips. It's not exhaustive training by any means, but hopefully it'll be helpful. So today we're going to talk about Management Reporter. And to talk about Management Reporter, we chose to talk about the statement of cash flows. So we're going to look at how to create a statement of cash flows in Management Reporter. Just by way of introduction, I'm Sandra Dodge. I'm one of the principal consultants here at IBIS. And I've been doing this for a few years. We won't talk about how many. I've had the opportunity over the years to create cash flows for several clients. There seems to be several variations on what is used. In fact, I would go so far as to say that almost every client has something unique about their statement of cash flows and how they're using their charts. So this isn't a one-size-fits-all. However, this is the most common presentation from our experience, is what we're going to be using today, and it's the one we try to start with if we're going to make something unique for a client. So it has a section for operations, a section for investing, a section for financing, and then a checking row to make sure that it matches to the actual checkbook balance. So that's what we're going to be looking at. From a technical perspective, we're going to look at the use of non-printing rows in a column layout to calculate the beginning balances. That is a little bit unique and is most often used in this particular financial statement. We're going to use categories in the row format, and the use of categories in a row format is something that can be done on all of your financial statements. It's a fast way to generate financial reporting. And then we're going to look at the use of account modifiers also in the row format. This will allow you to control the periodic data on these particular row formats, on these particular rows, within a report that uses a different period on all the rest of the rows. Lastly, and it's just a reminder, because if you've been using FRX or Management Reporter for any period of time, you know that if you drill back on a row, on a financial statement, you have access to the accounts. So we're just going to drill back a little bit just to make sure that, as a reminder that that data is there. And it's very helpful for troubleshooting in particular. So the PowerPoint is very brief, and then we're going to actually switch over and do it. So I just wanted to dive a little bit deeper in 2 or 3 slides on the PowerPoint just to show you. I think that you can download this PowerPoint, and then you could be able to repeat what we're doing if you want to mimic any of it. So that was the reason I created the PowerPoint the way I did, with some screenshots. So in the column layout, once again, we're going to focus on the non-printing rows. I also want you to notice that there's a beginning balance column in one of these non-printing rows. And so the actual column that we're going to present is the beginning balance minus the year-to-date number. So these are balance sheet accounts, right? So this is going to is one method to get to net change. Okay. Also on the column layout, we're going to look at the additional, the row and the account columns. So as a hint or a tip from us, one of the things that I do a lot of when I'm creating Management Reporter reports is I add things to help me check my work along the way. So when I initially print this, generate this report, we're going to turn off the non-printing. we're going to look at the details and make sure that we agree with everything, with all the numbers are producing. Because when you first start to create it, you need a method to check your work pretty quick. And then you can go back and add the non-printing layer to give you the final report. Columns are important in statement of cash flows, so we're going to start with that. Then we're going to go over to the row format, and we're going to use the account category dimension instead of the accounts themselves in the linking. We find that a lot of people don't do this, and it requires you to maintain your account categories in GP, but that's a very simple thing to do. We forget they're there. Most of the time they were put in correctly, and if they weren't there, it's easy to fix. And then you can use those account categories to generate quick reports. And then lastly, we're going to add the account modifiers, and this is in the row format, and you'll be able to see that. And we'll generate the report. Okay? So let's open up Management Reporter. See if I can find it. All right. So I've opened Management Reporter, and I apologize, I have to scroll a little bit. I'll try to do it slowly. I've opened Management Reporter already, and I've opened the column definitions. So for our purposes today, I'm going to assume there's no one new to this, but when you first launch Management Reporter, you see these choices down here in the bottom left, and you just click on the one that you want. So we want column definitions. And we're going to look at in particular, the cash flow column definition, which I double-clicked and it opened up. Okay. So I've labeled column C and column D to be non-printing. That's so that I can see what's printing and what I know that those are non-printing rows. That just makes my life easier. It's the beginning balance non-printing, it's the year-to-date non-printing. Column E is going to print, and it's the calculation between them. Notice also in periods covered that I've told it that I want it to be the beginning balance for the period year. Okay. A lot of people don't do what's in F and G, and so maybe you don't remember or aren't aware that it's there. Typically we see A as a description, but over in F I've actually got the row code. It's the row number from the row format, so I can quickly find where my problem is. And especially if you've got a lot of non-printing rows in your row format, this is very handy. Let's not do that. And then I also have the account link printing, so you can quickly see the data that's making that up. In my final product, I don't want these. I will either delete the rows or set them to be non-printing. Now to make them non-printing, you go into the print control and you double click clearly, or you just type, and you want it to be non-printing. But for our first go round of printing them, we will want them to print. And I've already generated that, so I'll show you that in just a second. Okay, all right. So we're going to save that. And we're going to open up the rows. So I've got two versions of this cash flow because I wanted one that we could play with a little bit. And then I've got the final. So I'm going to open my cash flow in progress. And we'll just we'll walk through just a couple of minutes of reminders or overviews. These are some of my favorite features in Management Reporter. I love the indent, so you can see that I've used the formatting heavily. I've got bolds and I've got indents. And just a reminder, that's up on your formatting toolbar. I can decrease the indent or increase the indent. so that it's laid out in a logical way, easy to read. And then I've taken all my headers and all my totaling rows and I've made them bold. It was easy. I just clicked, or I multi-clicked, and I hit the bold button. Not bold, bold. So formatting is so easy in Management Reporter, especially if you have an FRX background. So now we're going to go over here to the links. So column J, and we're going to look at the two different kinds of links that I'm using. So the first one, this is net income. So net income would be a lot of account categories. So I wanted to do this quickly, so I said my net income is a range of accounts. And I got to all of that by double clicking. Clearly you can key this in. I could have keyed in these in 4100 to 8710. Or I can double click and I can pull up my range and I can put in 4100 to 8710. The ellipsis is a lookup and it helps you find them. So you can actually put in the 4. If you put in a 4, you get the first account that starts with a 4. And you can select it. Okay. These accounts did not belong. There's something about purchase price variance. So I extracted them. Okay. All right, and then you see that I've switched to using account categories for the rest of these. And I have a couple that I've left intentionally blank so we could add them. So we need to put in account receivable and we need to put in inventory. So I'm going to go to the dimension for account category. So when Management Reporter was installed, account category is one of the default choices, as well as your segments. So division, account, and department are my choices for my segments. One of the other really beautiful things about Management Reporter is that I can pick and choose combinations of these much easier. And so it's fun to play in. So I've got account category. I'm going to pull it up. It brings up all my account category choices. I've already passed it. I'm going to pick accounts receivable. Okay. And there I have it. So we'll see in a minute when we drill back that was actually quite a few accounts. And I got to add them all because just in one movement. And I'm going to do the same thing here with inventory. Okay. Cool. So that's adding count categories. So now we're going to go down and we're going to have a look. So this is my row format, right, which we're going to see in a final product here in a minute. I've got what it's calling the uses of cash in the operating to get me a net cash flow from my operating. I've got changes in my investing activities, changes in my financing activities, and then my net increase or decrease in cash. So then I need to actually compare that, right, to my cash. So for that to work, then I need the cash at the beginning of the year. I need to add that to my net increase and then compare it, right, to my my balance, my ending balance, or year-to-date balance of cash. So I've taken the cash at the beginning of the period and I've used the account category for cash, and see, I've set it to be non-printing. And the reason I've done that is because of what's right here on row 1220. So what I'm saying on 1220 is that I only want this beginning balance cash in 2 of the columns. So we can open the column layout back up. Column B was the current month, and column E was the total of, or the difference between the beginning balance for the year and in the year-to-date balance. So I'm saying that in column B, I want you to give me what's in 1190 for B. But in column E, I want you to give me what was in column C for 1190. And column C was the year-to-date beginning balance. So it's saying, find me the year-to-date beginning balance for cash and put it in column E. Don't do a calculation. In column B, just go find me the beginning balance of cash. Okay? And then I'm saying, and then the next run on 1280 is saying add the beginning balance of cash to the net increase or decrease. Cool. And then in line 1340, and in the example they set that up as non-printing, so I non-printed it. That is the going to print the year-to-date balance for cash. And it's the difference. Okay, so that's how the calculations work. How you get it to be the balance that you want is you have to modify it. So I'm going to go here. Okay, so before I do that, let's talk about what column I'm in. So I'm in column I, which is a row modifier. So for line 1340 to always be the ending balance of cash, I need to tell it that. All right, so I'm going to come in here and I'm going to say /Y year-to-date balance. And I'm going to come in here. I'm going to do /BB beginning balance. Every other row on here pulls the data based on the periods in the columns. These two rows pulls the data based on the account modifier we just put on. Okay. So we would save this and close it. And we come to the report definition. So we've set up a report to be the cash flow, the company name. We wanted to pull the account detail behind the financials so that we can drill. We picked the cash flow row and the cash flow column. Okay? And we're going to tell it to generate. And while it's generating, we'll go ahead and pull it. So I have two of them here that I want us to notice. This first one, can you see it all? Yeah. All right. So this one is the one where I have everything printing so that I can see all the details. So I have my income. I don't have any depreciation expense in the sample data. I'm not sure why that is. I've got all of the other categories listed out. I've told this to print even if there are zero balances. You can clearly turn that off so it won't print that if there's no data there. I come down to the bottom. You see my difference line. That's how I know that that I've got this all correct. So my ending cash is clearly $54,531. This is my cash at the beginning of the period, and then this is where it added it together. Right? If I go back to the columns and set them to be non-print and generate it again, then it looks like this. All right, so we can drill back. One of the things that we can drill back on is receivables. This shows you all the counts that made up the receivables category we added. And if you choose the download button that's down here in your bottom right hand corner, you can download it to Excel, which I did earlier. And this is what it looked like in Excel with the row in the accounts. I actually did a lot of this yesterday evening when I was prepping for this. You know, big surprise, the initial one of these I couldn't get to balance. I had to troubleshoot it to get it to 0. And so you see on my tabs, I've got a cash flow -S for the financial and a cash flow -A, which lists all the accounts behind it. And that is cash flow made simple. For some reason in real life, they're not ever this simple. I'm S-Dodge, S-D-O-D-G-E, at IBIS Inc. So if, instead of it, you can send it to info at IBIS Inc. or you can put S-D-O-D-G-E at IBIS Inc. And I appreciate everyone's attentiveness, and I'll be happy to answer any additional questions you've got. Have a great day.